James Melendez. Thank you for joining me on my channel today. These wines are next. They're from the producer Lapone in Umbria. I have a Chardonnay, a Verdicchio, as well as a Pinot Grigio. Stay tuned. I'll give my thoughts, perspectives, and point score on these wines. Stay tuned. Please give a like and subscribe to this channel. Now I'm going to talk first about, the differences of IGT wines. And IGT stands for Indicazione Geografica Tipica. And then I did review, and I'll place that video right up here, the Lapone, l'Escluso, Orvieto Classico Superiore. Now that is a DOC for this area. It does not include these wine varieties. So often a DOC is not going to include every variety, and you will find the classification as an IGT. Sometimes people look, I would say, a little downward on an IGT wine. You should not. I think some superbly well-crafted wines do come from IGT regions throughout Italia. And I think it's absolutely stunningly beautiful wines that we have right here. I'm excited to get these wines. Now, Orvieto, by the way, a side note, be sure to visit. It's absolutely beautiful. The Duomo is very beautiful Italianate. Gothic architecture that's absolutely stunningly gorgeous, and the interior is absolutely beautiful as well. When you look to the side, you look towards the south, you see this building. It's the L'Opera, the opera, the work of the Orvieto Duomo, and this is one of the residences of the popes in the Middle Ages. So definitely don't think that's another building to the side, but think about the historical experience of this region. It is pretty fantastic. The first wine I'm going to review is the Pinot Grigio wine, and I do have some notes that came in terms of winemaking. I don't have it for the Chardonnay or the Verdicchio, so I'll just be tasting that without any sort of specific technical notation. So here's this wine right here. This is Ramato. This is the Pinot Grigio wine, and back label for you to look at here. It is a stunningly gorgeous wine, a very small production of 4,000 bottles produced, and when you think of Italia, you're often thinking of, say, the Veneto for Pinot Grigio. And there's a good reason and logical reason why, because there's so much of it produced in the region itself. More specifics on this wine, it's 13.5% ABV. The vineyard site was planted in 2003 with a north-south aspect ratio, 320 meters above sea level, which is approximately 1,050 feet above sea level, Fazel. The soil is volcanic and clay, and so I think it's a really handsome, gorgeous wine. So some of the vinification on this is grapes are destemmed, undergo a cold maceration, and then gentle cold pressing. Fermentation is carried out in temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks and refined 2 months in bottle. It is a really nice wine, and it has a slight orangey tinge to it, and it's a really nice, fresh, clean wine, and harmonious wine, and one where I'm really fascinated by these wines because I think they're absolutely delicious and delightful. And so when I introduced the Orvieto Classico Superiore wines, that's a DOC wine, that's a denomination, and they're very, very specific on things you do in the IGT world, and sometimes people look down upon that, which they should not. It's a really, I would say very meticulous winemaking, depends on the winemaker and their style, but I would say that the same care that goes into a DOC or DOCG often will translate into the IGT wines, that there's not a step down in quality, in my opinion. They're just different varieties most often. So here we go with this wine here. Very lovely nose, and be sure to taste this in a Burgundy glass because I think you're going to optimize the character of this wine. So white stone fruit notes, mineral, and white floral notes. Very, very bright and clean notation, but very evident Pinot Grigio on this wine, which is delightful. Next is a palate characterization. What I like about this wine is it's not going to be an overly fruited wine. So this has a much leaner style to it. It's very clean. It's an immaculate wine. So very nice white stone fruit, a bit of lemon peel to this, dill, which I think is very exciting in a wine, as well as pine nut pignoli and oyster shell. This wine is 93 points out of 100 points. So here we go. Here is Lapone's Verdicchio. This is a 2019 vintage. And another handsome bottle. I don't have technicals on this wine, but I'm assuming the winemaking vinification is going to be very similar to the Pinot Grigio. It is different colorization. So while the other one had a very orange tinge, this has a mid-hay colorization. So what Umbria does not have is an outlet to the Tyrrhenian or to the Adriatic Seas. And why I bring that out is because that's, you know, in Italia, you're going to taste a lot of fish. And this region really doesn't have a lot of fish. It does have some, and they come from lakes, especially if it's going to be local. But I think this is a prime wine for fish. It is absolutely delightful and stunning on the scent characterization. So this is giving a notation of Amalfi lemon, brightness of passion fruit, compacted seashells, and fresh white flower bunch. And next is a palate characterization. So this wine is aptly and appreciably dry, autumnal fruit notation, dry citrus, oyster shell. The beautiful sapidity and minerality of this wine is completely compelling and absolutely wonderful for seafood, and a bit of almond notation and white floral notes. So this wine is 93 points out of 100 points. And last is the Chardonnay from Lapone. And here we go with the Chardonnay. And again, always serve this in a burgundy glass. So let me show you the bottle up close. This is the Chardonnay Lapone IGT 2020 vintage, back label for you to look at here. And I didn't give you the ABV on the previous one. This is 13.5%, and the Verdicchio is probably around the same. No, it's actually 14%. So the Chardonnay, to me, just on the scent, I don't believe there's any oak on this wine. I believe it's stainless steel. I don't have any technicals on that to indicate that's really the case or not. So on this, I'm getting a notation of apple. Pear notes, Commons pear, crushed seashells, and white floral. And next, the palate characterization. Nice weight and texture to the wine, definitely identifiable as a Chardonnay. This does not taste like the Verdicchio, and it's a little, I would say a little heavier bodied, but not by much. And so I think because this does not have, or very little oak, if any, it really is a very clean and crisp wine, and one that is completely dazzling to enjoy with seafood, or just cheeses and charcuterie would be fantastic with this wine. So this is giving an notation of wintry fruits of green apple, which is Granny Smith apple, notation quince mineral. This wine is 93 points out of 100 points. I'll put more information on the producer down below. Check them out, and if you're in Umbria or Orvieto in particular, you will find these wines. And what I often do when I travel is I pick up a bottle, and I have an Airbnb, and I bring back a bottle from a grocery store, alimentari, to, you know, taste these wines, enjoy these wines while I'm there, and have a nice high quality bottle. And you're going to find the bottle price points are much less expensive than the United States, but don't let that price fool you. I think there's some amazing wines, and Lapone is one of them. Thank you for watching today. Again, I'll place that video for Lapone Orvieto Classico Superiore right up here. And thank you for watching. I think these wines are superb, fantastic. And in your marketplace, if you see IGT wines, you know, select them, pick them out. They're usually a good price point, and they're good wines. And an IGT from Umbria is fantastic. So to me, I think of this place very closely, carefully, and dearly, because it is a very special place. So you'll find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and WordPress. Let's stay connected. Be sure to give a like to this video, subscribe to this channel, share this video with somebody seeking white Italian wines. So I will see you very soon. Salute.